Well, welcome along to this episode of Voices of Fostering, where I'm delighted today to be joined by foster carers Rachel and David. Hello, guys.
Hi, Helen. It's lovely to meet you.
How are you, Helen? Great to meet you.
It's so lovely to have you both on the podcast. We're really interested to hear about your story. You've been fostering for 5 years, haven't you? So tell us how it all started for you. You know, was fostering something that you'd always wanted to do, or what led you to it?
Well, whenever we got married, well, even before we got married, we'd babysat a lot of children whenever we were dating and things, and we just always loved children, and our 3 children came along very quickly, and we worked in our local church and community with a lot of young children, and lots of them were from quite difficult backgrounds, and we discovered sort of that we were very good at talking to children. We just love working with children, and we thought about it initially in our first little house that we lived in and found out about it, but we realised we didn't have an extra bedroom. So we thought if we ever have the chance to move to a bigger house, it's definitely something that we'll do.
Yeah, I suppose it's important that both of us were on board. Like, before I even met Rachel, I was involved in a lot of children's work and would have been in contact with lots of children within the fostering environment, and maybe didn't know an awful lot about it, but they just seemed to crave so much love, and that just kind of really drew my attention to it. And then whenever we got married, then it was kind of more something we sort of thought more about. So
yes. And did you think maybe having your own birth children was something that would prevent you from fostering? Did you worry about that at all?
No, well, I think suppose for us, and once we had our own children, it never really scared us, the thought of having any other children, because Rachel always wanted to have a big family. Rachel always wanted to have 6 kids at least. So
well,
that scared me a wee bit.
Yeah, you're scared of that. We've only had 3, but what we did, we were very surprised that we ended up being able to build our own house, and we had extra bedrooms. And David said to me, I really think we should think about fostering again. And I thought, well, I'm quite comfortable in our nice house with extra bedrooms, but we kept hearing ads on the radio and different things, and I thought, right, really, we'll look into it, but it's probably really complicated, and we'll not get past, because they're really strict about looking after these children because they've been through so much trauma. And it was during COVID as well, and we thought, they'll be really strict, but it was a really nice social worker that came out and did the visits with their mask on. And It was quite in depth, but we actually learned a lot about ourselves through that and really enjoyed it. And
I probably learned more about Rachel than I ever knew during that process. So it was actually really good for us. So
so really many people say that it's like a really therapeutic experience for you both, isn't it? As a couple, you learn things that you didn't know about each other.
And then they take your children away and talk to them and by themselves, and you're like, oh, hope they don't say anything they shouldn't say. Not that they will, but it's just, I suppose, a mommy and daddy thing.
Please do tell us about that, guys, because people watching who have birth children, that is definitely not a barrier to fostering at all. But what happens in that process? How are the children involved in the assessment?
Well, I suppose from the very start, it's not just about us as the parents, it's very much about the kids as well. So we had to make sure that our children were very much on board, and we would not have went forward with fostering if our children weren't on board with the whole thing at the very, very start. So that's, I suppose, most important.
Yeah, we sat down as a family and talked about it and said, this is what we're thinking. What do you think? And they were always on board. And then the social worker, I suppose, talked to them about how they were disciplined and all the rest of it, and they answered very honestly, and we were very honest too, and they actually enjoyed it too. It wasn't something that fazed them in any way at all. They were always excited as to what was happening next. And we are with KinderCare, the fostering agency, and obviously you've training videos and things, and we watched as a family. And our youngest son, I remember him, we were on the sofa and he just turned around to me at the end of them and he gave me a big hug and he says, Mummy, I'm so glad you don't have any addictions and you're such a good mummy. And I thought, it's worth it, even though we haven't even started fostering yet. He's recognizing this from what we're going through. And there's so many mummies out there who think they're definitely not a good mommy when they really are. After you've come through these 5 years, you see what, the difference is. So definitely it was a good thing for our children right from the start. We decided that we didn't want children that were older than our children just because we don't have 24/7 experience of that.
What age were our kids at that time? What, about 12,
11,
9,
12.
maybe 11, 10 and 9, I think, maybe at that time, whenever we started the process. So,
Maybe 12 because she's 16 now, the oldest. But the first placement that we got, and we were told don't go for your first placement whenever they ring. But the first placement just seemed to really suit our family. And we said to our children about it and they were so excited. And 2 wee blonde heads jumped out of the car. Still remember it. And our children were excited and show them all around the house. And, they're, proud to show them their bedroom, their new things and their new toys outside and all they have to play with. And I think our children have been sort of considered themselves like role models for the older children. And they like to talk about, once the younger children are in bed, they like to talk to us about what they were doing or what they, maybe didn't do right, or little things they've said to them. And it's been a very, very positive journey for our children, and definitely something that is as they've grown into teenagers, I have noticed they actually are better at relating to younger children than maybe some of their friends who don't have any younger siblings. It's, even when we're out somewhere else and there's other children not related to, they'll go over and talk to them. So I'm talking too much now.
It's something that Rachel always does in situations like this. She just doesn't know when to stop talking.
So taking you back, guys, to when you found out that you had passed your assessment and that you were going to be foster carers, can you remember how you felt and what the reaction was like with your children? Like, the whole family, you must have been delighted.
Yeah, because it is a very intense process to go through. There's a lot of questions, and at one point in the process, I was like, Rachel, this is a lot of questions, very intrusive. But whenever you get approved and you're excited for your first placement, and as Rachel mentioned, these 2 wee blonde heads just bobbing into the house, and two social.
Go back, to being passed by panel, all those questions, and then going to the panel and they say there's 10 people that have to approve you. I was quite nervous about that. I thought somebody's bound to find something or ask a question we'll not be able to answer. But I think with KinderCare too and their support and their help, they were very encouraging and very positive. And that helped. So. And we were passed straight away and there was no problems. And it was just like, whew, we're passed.
Yeah, and literally within about half an hour of being passed, we got a phone call about these 2 wee girls.
Oh wow, so that was quick. I hear differing stories really. Sometimes it's a couple of days or sometimes it's literally a couple of minutes. So for you guys it was quite quickly.
Yeah.
Well, we were worried because we had gone through training with another couple who seemed to have been on all the training Zooms that we had been on, and they had been phoned before they'd got to panel about all these different children. And we thought, why are they not ringing us? We're maybe not going to get past, or maybe they found some problem with us. So
yeah, and then the social workers had said that, don't always just go for your first placement because it might not be right, and just, don't be just panicking and just jumping into your first placement. But these 2 wee girls, they just seemed so right and so perfect, such a perfect fit for our family. And it just seemed right, and we were so excited about it.
Yeah, so how did that first placement go then? How long did they stay with you for?
Well, we still have them.
Oh, wow.
We started off as short-term, thinking this is just something we wanted to do short-term. And then within a year, we realised that these wee kids weren't going back to their parents and they were going to have to move on somewhere else. And we had connected with them so well, and there was such a nice bond there. We can't let them go back to somewhere, to go to another house or another foster place. So we thought we need to go for the long-term placement, which we did, and we were approved and passed for straight away. So yeah, the first 2 wee blonde bombshells that we came into our house on that first day, we still have them now. So we have them till they're at least 18. So it's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think sometimes you go into it thinking that your experience is going to be one thing, but actually it becomes something else, doesn't it? Do you think it's important for people to be open-minded at the start of their journey?
Definitely. Yeah. I think we thought we'll just have little P1s for short term and then they'll move on. But then, you know, we just got so attached so quickly, and they're just we pets, they really are, and they've been through so much, and they still are going through so much. We knew it would, one in particular, it would have really destroyed her to move on somewhere else, and we just couldn't. And then we were told, well, nobody's changed to long term so quickly within 1 year, and we were a bit nervous that wouldn't happen, but it did. So we were really thankful how that worked out, and then they've been so welcoming to all the other little placements we had since then.
Yeah, so you've had other placements alongside your long-term placement as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, suppose at the start we never really thought we'd have that many. We just started off with the 2, and we then had a wee baby, actually, from 2 days old until 9-10 months, I think she was when she left. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was an experience back to the late nights and up in the middle of the night feeding the baby and changing nappies that we hadn't done for so many years. So, but it's so nice having a baby. But you don't mind
because you haven't been pregnant and you far more energy. And they're so tiny and cute. And we had such a good relationship. I started a communication book with that baby's mummy, and we have a really good relationship with her. And she drove quite a distance every day to see her little baby, and all, like, our first placement and our birth children all just fell in love with this wee baby as well. And she's such a cute wee baby.
We meet up with her regularly, maybe twice a year. We'll see her her birthday. We saw her for her first birthday, met up with her again during the year, and then we just met up with her recently for her second birthday there. So it's so sweet. Mm-hmm. And she just got out of the car and she just ran across the yard to me and just jumped up into my arms and gave me this big, massive hug. And I hadn't saw her for 6 months, and it was just almost made me cry. It was so special. It was so nice.
Yeah, because I think sometimes people can think that when a child or a young person moves on, that's it, you're disconnected from them. But that's not the case, is it? You stay in touch.
Yeah, we've definitely stayed in touch with the baby's mummy. She sends me photos every week, and she's really appreciative of what we've done. And talking again about birth children, our oldest daughter made this beautiful book for her, going back to her mummy, like a big scrapbook of each month that she was there, and photographs and quotes from the communication book between me and her mummy. And she had her first wee vest in it because she was such a tiny baby, and all these wee first things that she'd done, and a lovely letter to her mummy at the end of it. And her social worker from the trust said she should really come and teach the social workers how to do these memory books, because she did such a good job. And so she was very proud of herself doing that. But I really do think it was a positive experience.
Definitely.
Having that placement, that first one after the second one.
I think another thing that people can be concerned about sometimes is the contact with birth parents and birth grandparents, and how that goes, what that's like. You've had quite positive experiences with that, haven't you? Can you tell us about that?
Well, that first little baby we just talked about, the first time her mummy showed up and brought her granny along with her, I did not think it was going to be a positive relationship.
No.
You know, you have to try and think from their point of view. This little baby has been taken away that they would like to have themselves, and that granny was giving me the death stare, definitely. But I just figured out in that situation there was other children that were with the granny, so I brought them sweets and tried to, on one particular day, I remember she just looked at me and winked, and I thought, well, that's good, I'm in with the granny, it's going a bit more positive.
Yeah, I think whenever they can see that you're showing their child love, and the child is coming nicely dressed and is presenting well, and it's really into us, it's really connecting with us, I think that gave them a security that actually their child's being really well looked after. And I think it takes a little bit of time just to get that connection and that sort of built up, but just being nice to the parents, it really does help. And we have such a positive relationship with, and we've actually had the mum, the baby, and all their siblings and the granny and granda to our house for dinner. So
Since they have
since they had returned. So that's like awesome. That's so nice.
It's not the same for every placement.
No.
And we had one placement where sadly mummy never showed up ever to even see the little boy, which was very sad. And there's other placements where they do be understandably nervous of you, but I just think, again, when they see that their children are turning up, like having fun, and they're really happy to come back with us and happy to tell them all about what they've been doing with us, that generally I would say mostly have had very positive.
So far, so good, yeah.
So far.
Yeah. And if you ever have any struggles, or there's anything that you need help with, do you find that you have a lot of support, that there's always somebody at the end of the phone?
Definitely.
Yes, the social workers we have, again, we're with KinderCare, they're absolutely amazing. That wee baby that we're talking about, was it bronchiolitis, Rachel?
Yeah.
She took bronchiolitis after maybe a few months, and she had to go into hospital, and she was quite ill to the point where we thought she might not actually make it. And the social workers came down. They actually stayed with the baby for a wee while with Rachel, gave her the support. That happened in the middle of the night. The social workers rang me at the middle of the night because I was at home looking after the girls and our own birth kids. And they couldn't have been any more supportive. They were absolutely fantastic. It was so good.
Yeah, definitely. There's always
so
somebody
you're definitely
there.
Never on your own. There's always support, isn't there?
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
And we've not really talked yet, guys, about what your background was really before you started fostering, because I know your career, David, has been quite different. Is it concrete and construction? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
And then you from an education background, Rachel. So how did you find that your careers before fostering helped you sort of move on to fostering? Were there transferable skills that you found were helpful?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Concrete and mortar.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really seem that concrete and construction would have transferable skills, but I'm sure there are, aren't there? Please tell us.
Yeah, but the thing is, I sold concrete, and so I was dealing with builders and buyers and all types of different people. So everybody needed to be treated in different ways as such.
Yeah.
Walking into a farmer, for example, you basically just hang over a gate and talked about what you were talking about. Maybe you were going to meet a builder on site who was busy working. You had to kind of muck in and do some of the work along with them. Or you maybe went to a high-flying buyer in a big office, so you had to be all nice and prim and proper and talk the talk and walk the walk.
So you had to be adaptable.
Correct. Yeah.
So kind of like children.
Yeah. Yeah, because every situation is different, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
every child is different.
Yeah.
And what about yourself, Rachel? How did you find, the transition from your other career to, or do either of you still have your careers? Do you still work as well?
Just recently, 2 months ago, I actually gave my employment up full time. So I am now full-time foster care. So yeah, it's we'll talk about that in a minute or two. You can talk about you.
Yeah, what about yourself, Rachel?
We're both full-time now. Yeah, obviously working with children. I have a degree in early years, so I have a lot of experience and I suppose head knowledge of that. And working with children, but in a classroom setting, is a lot different to 24/7. And you might know a bit about children how they would present whenever they would come in and things, but you get to learn so much more at such a deeper level when you get such great training within with KinderCare anyway provided for us. It was so good and so helpful. I wish everybody could do it, to be honest, to see the need out there and even about being sensitive to children. So yeah, I do think I definitely was able to transfer skills because I just love children, always have, and talking to children, relate to them well. Maybe that doesn't say much about me, but now we're both full-time and it's great. It really is. Yeah. But you don't have to be. We weren't at the start. At the start, I was still working and then gradually saw, right, they've got a lot more appointments than our birth children do for understandable reasons. And so I give up my work first. And
yeah, well, suppose at the start we only had 2 placements, and then we had 3, and then we had 4. And now we have 5. So 5 little kids running around the house, it's hard work plus our own three. So I felt I was doing a day's work, stressed to the hilt at work with builders and people giving off to me, and stress that you had with that. And then you come home where you would like to have had a little bit of time just to sit down, relax. Well, you had 5 kids running about, plus your own kids. So it was difficult. You maybe just didn't have that downtime that you would like. So I just thought, like, I need to give my job up. I need to do this full time so I can help Rachel, help her. And whenever the kids are at school now, we get 4 or 5 hours in the morning to ourselves, which is nice. So we can do.
We have a baby at the minute, again, which is great. And people might think, oh, that's so easy with, fostering 5 wee children. There's not much work in that. But, anybody who knows anything about fostering knows that these children are a lot different from what maybe they would be used to in how they're brought up. And they've got a lot more needs and additional appointments and support that they need. And even something that's said in school can just one sentence by somebody can trigger them off, and they just need a lot more support than I'm talking too much again and getting a dent.
No, you're not, Rachel. It's fine. I do have a burning question though that's popped up in my head now, because now we know that you have 5 foster children with you. You have your 3 birth children as well, so that's 8 children plus the 2 of you, so that's 10 of you. What vehicle do you have? Is it a minibus?
So glamorous.
Yeah. But
do you really have a minibus?
I love my cars. I used to have an M3. I used to have a Subaru Impreza. I used to love those sort of things. You have to grow up whenever you...
Yeah, you're not fitting 8 kids in a Subaru Impreza, are you?
No, definitely not. No, we used to have a 7-seater. We swapped that out then, and we bought an 8-seater, but we're still too short. So basically what happens is if we're going on any long journeys, I'll take my daughter's starting to drive very soon, so I'll take 1 car and we'll take maybe 2 of the birth kids in it, and then the rest of it all goes in the minibus, as it were. So
a little convoy.
Yeah.
It's an 8-seater, but it's very comfortable. I really love it. We didn't know when we bought it. It's got massage seats in the front.
Rachel's spoiled driving that car to be automatic, everything.
It's great.
So, leather seats.
So did you imagine at the beginning of your journey, guys, like 4 or 5 years ago, that you would have that many children? I mean, I know you said, Rachel, you always wanted 6 kids, didn't you? So you've definitely achieved that, haven't you? But did you really think that you would have 5 foster children?
No way. No, never in a million. Nah, never. Because I don't know. You just seem to. There's just something about. I don't know what it is. It's just there's just something that just draws your heart out to them, and not that you feel sorry for them, but you just want to.
When you see you're making a difference, you can actually see the difference, and from when they come, till when they leave, or even as some of them are still here. It's really so encouraging and so satisfying, that you're actually helping these wee lives, and hopefully creating good memories that they'll not forget for the rest of their lives. And it's a bit addictive for us, as you can tell.
And is it like maybe sort of day by day you don't notice the progress, but when you sort of take a step back and you think, wow, or maybe a picture comes up from a year ago or something and you think, wow, the progress that's happened in that time, that must be really satisfying.
Yeah, like for example, whenever the girls came to us at the start, if anything happened at all, like anything, they just ran upstairs and hid in below their bed. And we thought, this is strange. That never happened with our birth kids. And within a very short space of time, that all stopped. And there's just wee small things.
But we didn't realise that stopping until we sort of stopped and thought about it.
Yeah.
And even other people come into the house. We had little boys, and we had to get speech therapy for them. And we both didn't realise maybe how initially bad their speech was at the start, or how much help they needed. And someone came who had seen them before, a professional who had seen them before they were placed with us, and said, oh my goodness, their speech, I can understand what they're saying. And we were like, oh, that's great, that's so encouraging, that we've actually helped.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, people say to us all the time, you're special, you have a gift for this. I don't maybe we do it. Maybe we're just mad. I don't know. But we just be ourselves. We just bring these kids up the same way as we brought our own kids up. We make no difference in them apps at all. And I don't know whether maybe that's why it works. I don't know. There's no difference. There's no favorites in our house. Everybody gets treated the same way. If we go on holiday, the kids come along with us. They all come, and we just make a family out of everything that we do. And yeah, there's not to say it's easy. It just seems to come natural. But that's what I'm saying.
And what do your sort of friends and your wider family think of you fostering? Has it had sort of like a positive ripple effect? Maybe you're like, oh, Rachel and David have made such a difference to people. Like, what does everybody else think?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. My mum and dad were slightly older, and they were very opposed to it at the start because they didn't know much about it. It was like, what's this? And the more I told them about it, the more we explained what it was and what we were doing, and how such the unfortunate circumstances that these kids were in. Yeah, you could start to see them coming round, and the support we have now from friends and family is phenomenal. Like especially with the wee baby we have, people just can't get enough of her. Yeah, they just love it. So
it's education, isn't it? Like some of us, we grow up in a certain way. We're very privileged. We don't understand what other situations there are out there. So you've really educated your family there, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we had no idea that half of the stuff that was going on around us was actually happening on our doorstep. It actually frightens you to know that some of the things that are happening to these wee kids, and just to think that we can make a difference and people in our family can make a difference, friends of ours can make a difference. That's why, doing things like this, trying to make the awareness to let more people know that there's a massive need for foster carers out there for these wee kids. Yeah.
One of the children we cared for didn't even have a bed to sleep in. He was used to sleeping on the floor. And I think that really spoke to a lot of our family as well. But we're very fortunate that they have been supportive. And my mum and dad take them to sleepovers, to their house for sleepovers, go to Nanny and Papa's, and they love it. And they want to know whose turn it is next to go for the sleepover. And I think it's been very positive. Actually, some of our friends have become foster carers themselves, and there's some going through the process. So it definitely, we talk to everybody about it, everybody we meet, because there's
knock because there's that many of us, and we've got a bus and another car. And
I know, look at us. I know.
So if there was anybody watching now, guys, who was maybe, teetering on the edge, they were thinking about fostering, but they're not sure if it's for them, what would you say to them? How would you encourage them to do it?
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
Just do it.
The difference that you can make in these wee kids' lives is just incredible. Like putting the wee kids to bed at night, and eventually, like the wee girls we had, it took them probably 2 months before they gave me a hug. And I made a mistake one morning because they actually had asked me to give them a cereal, and I gave them toast. I don't know why I made them toast. And I got down on my knees beside one of the girls, and I said, "I'm really sorry. I made a mistake, and can you take the cereal instead of the toast?" And she looked around at me, she goes, "Don't worry about it, it's okay," and gave me this massive big hug. And I went down into the room to Rachel. I actually started to cry. I said, "Rachel, she gave me a hug." They've been hugging Rachel all along, but they had never hugged me, but they just hadn't made that connection. And see, from that day on, they give me these big, massive, tight hugs. And to maybe have them going to bed at night and say, "Daddy, I love you." Like that's just special. So special. Yeah. What about you?
You just want people to know that you can really, really make a phenomenal difference to children's lives, can't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. If you know that you love children and you can provide a good home for them, you will make such a huge difference. Just being there for them, just providing a bed for them, is just loving them is something so many of them sadly haven't been used to.
Absolutely crave for that affection and the love and the care and the nice home that you can provide them. Yeah, it's just,
life-changing.
Right. Guys, we will leave it there. Rachel and David, thank you so much. It's been fantastic speaking to you and hearing your stories, and best of luck with your bus full of kids.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Voices of Fostering. If you'd like to get involved in the conversation, we would love to hear your questions. Maybe there's something you'd really like to ask about fostering. Get in touch. You can email us on podcast@nfa.co.uk.